My mom married a rich guy and erased me from her new family. On my 18th birthday, I erased myself from her life instead, and the fallout was ugly. I'm Noah, 21M. My dad died when I was 8, so it was just me and my mom, Linda, in the small house he left us. She always said, "It's you and me against the world." At 15, she met Martin at work. He had money, a big house, and 2 kids, Chloe and Dylan. At dinner, he'd ask stiff questions about school, then ignore me. He clearly saw me as baggage. After their wedding, we moved into his place. Chloe and Dylan had decorated rooms near the master. My room was at the far end, beige and empty. "We'll decorate later," Mom said. The favoritism came fast. Chloe and Dylan went to a private academy. I stayed at my public school because tuition is already stretched. When I asked about transferring, Martin said, "You'll do fine where you are." And Mom added, "You're adaptable, Noah. Don't be ungrateful." Christmas sealed it. They opened piles of expensive gifts. I got a small gift card and some clothes. When I asked if she really didn't see the difference, Mom said, "Martin's ex expects a certain lifestyle for his kids." I asked, "What about my lifestyle?" She snapped, "You're almost an adult. Material things shouldn't matter." After that, I avoided home. I worked at a hardware store, lingered at school, crashed at my friend Ethan's place. When he finally dragged the story out of me, he shook his head. "She picked them. Plan your exit." My one advantage was my dad. He'd left a trust, $200K for me, locked until I turned 18. Mom was trustee but couldn't touch it except for school. A month before my birthday, Martin called a family meeting. He smiled and said, "Great news. I'm adopting Chloe and Dylan, so we'll all share the same last name." Everyone clapped. I asked, "Does that include me?" He and Mom traded a look. "You're already Linda's son," he said. Mom added, "We assumed you'd want to keep your father's name. They never asked. They just didn't want me in the picture." A week later, my uncle, Mark, Mom's brother, called. "Heads up," he said. "Your mom and Martin were talking about using your trust for renovations. They called it family money since you live there." My stomach dropped. They weren't just pushing me out. They were planning to raid the only thing my dad left me. On my 18th birthday, I skipped school, went to the bank with my ID and trust papers, and moved the $200K into an account only I control. Then I drove to a small apartment near the college I'd already been accepted to, signed the lease, and loaded my car with my clothes, my laptop, and a box of my dad's photos. I drove out of Martin's gated neighborhood without saying goodbye. That night, I texted Mom, "I moved out, I'm safe." 5 minutes later, she replied, "What do you mean moved out? Where are you? Come home right now." Then came the flood of calls and walls of text about how I was ungrateful and abandoning my family. Martin wrote, "You selfish child. After everything we've done for you," I blocked them both and ate cheap pizza on my floor, finally breathing. The fallout came fast. A week later, Uncle Mark called again. So, Martin's ex took him back to court. Adopting Chloe and Dylan raised his child support. "Your old room is his office now. Your stuff? Donated." I laughed until I cried. Months later, Mom showed up at my apartment. "Noah, please," she said. "I know I messed up, but Martin and I are having problems. I need my son. Just come home for a while." I told her, "You needed your son 3 years ago. Now you just don't want to be alone." She whispered, "I did my best." I said, "Dad raised me. You just lived in the same house," and closed the door. Now I'm 21, working in another city, paying my own bills and spending holidays with Ethan and Uncle Mark. Mom still sends apology emails and begs for another chance. I don't respond. I'm not angry anymore. I'm just done. Being related is biology. Being family is a choice. And this time, I chose myself. For once, I wasn't the expendable one in the room.